So I want to share with you what is all in my new book, Tantric Intimacy, Discover the Magic of True Connection. So there's 5 main sections, and then there's an appendix at the end. And the appendix is actually a really interesting place to start because those are all the questions, the biggest questions I get asked as a Tantra teacher. Can I study Tantra without a partner? Does it work for gay couples? Will it help my addiction to porn? Will it help with my sexual assault when I was younger? How can I feel sexual again? Will it help, with all these different issues that we have around seemingly mostly sex, but also about how do I integrate Tantra into my everyday life? Things like that. So that's the appendix. And then at the beginning, the first chapter is all about redefining love and connection. Because connection is really the foundation of Tantra, whether it's connection to God, spirit, whether it's connection to each other, whether it's connection inside. This is really what it feels like to be human and to feel real bliss. So and that chapter is so interesting to me. I don't know, so many amazing things came through that chapter, integrating the Greek understanding of love, the agape, philia, and eros, and how they all work together to create really solid, deep connections with our loved ones, our children, our friends, and our lovers. And so I'm really excited about that section. Section 2 is all about living in your mysterious center, which is kind of the greatest challenge of Tantra because it asks us to integrate spirit and life, which is more challenging than you might think. It's really not just about doing yoga and burning incense or doing spiritual things. It's about accessing that mystery, that infinity, that God, that spirit really is, and living in that place, trusting that in the hard times. And so we really talk about why that's difficult and why we struggle and how it's really all around us all the time. We just tend to write it off because it's a little uncomfortable. The third section is all about the uniting of masculine and feminine and how there is no such thing as masculine and feminine without the other. That it leads back into the previous section about, we have this oneness of spirit and then we split so that we can actually experience each other in this duality state. And this is the masculine and feminine. And when, of course, these come back together, we return to union, which is bliss. So the second section is all about that, whether it's balancing it within, whether it's balancing it with another, and even sexually, how that works to really find that united bliss. Section 4 is about sexuality. I always laugh when people see the table of contents and they're like, can we just start with section 4? And you can start anywhere you want. It's all good. You have to go where you feel called. And, well, we'll leave section 4. We can imagine what that might be about. But truly, it's actually about making love. It's about understanding that how much you already know. It's about maybe unlearning a few things and then understanding what's really possible. It's a very interesting chapter with very personal things in it that I'll explain to you in a minute. And then the 5th chapter is really taking Tantra into your everyday life. How do you listen to intuition? How do you truly feel connected? How do you make every single aspect of your life tantric? This is the 5th section. And then it's the appendix. So I decided to include a story at the beginning of every chapter. And this sort of came from the promptings of people, because I tell stories a lot. And people were like, you've got to share this. You've got to put this in your book. And I thought, wow, these are really personal stories. It seems kind of okay if you're a student of mine that you hear it, but just on a book that anyone can pick up, that seems, ugh. But then I realized that, no, these are good stories and they're the truth, and stories speak to us. Humans we love stories, and not just because we love stories. It's like I can tell you a story, but your soul hears the whole piece. It hears more than just the words. And so I'm actually now very excited that I shared all these stories. And of course, section 4 with all the sexuality, those are some good stories. But most of the book actually isn't about sex. It's about being tantric in life. It's real turning points and experiences that really, really show how this all works in the real world, which is really all that matters. One story that actually, it was funny, in my original manuscript, it was way later in the book, But my editor said, she says, I love this story. I just, I can't get enough of the story. It has to be sooner in the book. And I had other people who read it earlier and who gave the endorsements for the front of the book. And they were like, I just couldn't, stop listening to the story. And among my friends, this is also one of their favorite stories. So I thought I would share it with you right now, if you would like. Chapter 1, Entering the World of Tantra. I had been driving for about 12 hours and was so happy to find this little motel in Montana. I was even more excited when I saw the lovely man with the buzz-cut muscles and tattoos standing by his truck drinking a beer. And he just happened to be staying in the room right beside me. I had definitely picked the right motel. As I got out of my car, he turned, looked at me, and with a twinkle in his eye and said, "Well, you're a long way from home," as he glanced at my Canadian license plate. He was an ex-soldier. He had been overseas in the war for 8 years and had been home for 4. He was tough, angry, and disillusioned, but he was a sight for my sore eyes. We spent the evening chatting on the white plastic chairs in front of our rooms. When he learned that I taught Tantra, this sparked his curiosity and a very interesting conversation, definitely increasing the already strong sexual chemistry between us. I told him about deeply connecting, making love for hours at a time, and how it was completely mind-blowing and out of this world. Yes, I know, the conversation was a ridiculous tease. Eventually he asked me, "So, do you think we could try out any of this crazy, sexy stuff you're talking about?" "I don't know. It depends if we have that kind of connection," I said. "How do we know?" "Well, let's see." We turned our chairs to face each other, held hands, and then looked into each other's eyes. He was pretty uncomfortable with this. Most people are. Over the evening, he had shared with me that women were all crazy, life was hard, and it pretty much sucked. To openly stare into someone's eyes would be pretty uncomfortable for him. "Why are we doing this?" he said. "I want to connect on a deeper way than just physically. Obviously, we could just have sex, but so what? That's not very interesting. Our physical bodies are the tiniest part of who we are. Just having physical sex is like having an entire box of crayons and only using one color. We are also spiritual. We have infinite divine energy flowing through these bodies. What if we could connect that part of us too?" He had this look on his face somewhere between, "Damn, I really picked a crazy one here," and "I have no idea what you're talking about, and I don't want to admit it, but I'm in." So I said, "What do you believe in? Do you believe in God or spirit or anything like that?" He looked down. "I don't know." "Do you believe that we are just physical bodies, just muscle and bones, or is there something more?" "I think there's something more." "Okay, that's all that matters. Just close your eyes and tune into that. Tune into what's inside of you that is beyond these muscles and bones." He closed his eyes for a bit, took a few deep breaths, and then opened them. His eyes were totally different. Something had relaxed inside of him. There was a glimmer of life. We gazed into each other's eyes a bit longer, and I brought him closer and let our noses rest together side by side. "Can I breathe with you?" I whispered. "Yes." I began inhaling his exhale and allowing him to inhale my exhale. We breathed this way for a few minutes. We were so relaxed. Everything was so calm. And then suddenly he pushed away. "What the fuck were you doing? What is this?" "It's just closeness, intimacy, compassion." "Oh." He came closer again, and this time we breathed with our mouths together. It was so euphoric. It's impossible to explain what happens, but it's like letting go of the world and completely joining with another in total bliss. After a few minutes, he pushed me away again. I could tell he was losing his bearings. He kept looking around at his truck, at traffic going by, anything familiar. I let him find himself again. We have strong programs inside that help us feel safe in a crazy world. These are hard to let go of. He then came close one more time. We weren't kissing or doing anything sexual, just holding hands and breathing together. It was really beautiful. This time when he pushed me away, or when he pulled away, he was gentle, and he only moved a couple of inches from me, and there were tears flowing down his cheeks. As he gazed into my eyes, he whispered, "I can't be this innocent again. You wouldn't believe what they made us do over there, the army. You wouldn't believe what I've done. You wouldn't believe what I've seen." He quietly shared for a few more minutes, and then he kind of snapped out of it. "What the fuck? I never talk about this. I never tell anyone this stuff. What the..." He took a deep breath and stared into my eyes. We sat together in beautiful silence, hearts open, completely present. And yes, this lovely heart connection turned into hours and hours of all that sexy stuff we'd been talking about. So I wanted to share that. It's actually, there's a lot more to that story that maybe one day I'll share, but it's a beautiful, beautiful experience of someone kind of coming in for the first time and experiencing something after being really hardened by life, by being really hardened by experience, which is really, it's where most of us start, really confused. So my editor, I think, made a great choice to make that the very first story of the book. So thank you for letting me share a little piece of my book with you, and I look so forward to reading it and hearing your comments and questions and just seeing where it all goes from here. Hope you have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.